Hooked on Games by Dr. Andrew Doan. Really? That's this one, Hooked on Games. And then we're also going to tackle another one. I think, if I can find it. Let's see it. Strickland. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. There it is, Doan and Strickland. That's what it is. Doan is the doctor. Strickland's the guy that wrote the book. There we go. Whoops. Let's go back here. There we go. Alternative platforms, gaming addiction. That's what we're going to talk about. I got a little bit of a cough, so so I may be coughing through this thing. There's the book. I just showed it to you. A study by Gentile at Iowa State University looked at 1,178 cross-sectional children across America and asked them about their video game playing. The results indicated that 8.5% of the children who played video games showed signs of addiction to gaming, similar to addictive gambling behavior. It is estimated that 12 million children are addicted to video games in the United States. 40% of American adults play either online or console video games. Video games are more popular and generate more business than movies and many other forms of entertainment. In a report published by Newzoo, consumer spending reached nearly $25 billion annually in 2010. This included mobile device games, casual game portals, social networking games, consoles, and both boxed and downloadable computer games. The video game industry has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. B.F. Skinner developed operant conditioning techniques and stated that with a selection of appropriate rewards, this system of operant conditioning could be used to teach anyone anything. I was being trained. Oh, this is Dr. Doan right here. I was being trained to push buttons by playing video games for my digital reward, the digital heroin for my mind. The digital heroin helped me escape from the reality of being in a poor immigrant family. Socially, I exploited the weaknesses of others, and because of my insecurities, I learned to be a bully to gain more control over my relationships. For many kids, playing video games is a way to escape life in the real world where they are pushed by their parents to excel, demanded by their peers to conform, and pressured on all sides by the expectations of others. Video gaming reinforces the neural pathways associated with addictive behavior. Video games are designed so that players will win most of the time. The big jackpots come when there is an in-game bonus or an enemy drops an item that is incredibly rare. If a player defeated the boss at the end of the quest, there may be a less than 1% probability of the boss dropping a rare item, so the player will have to defeat the boss over 100 times for that item. All players in the MMORPGs seek to earn and keep magical armor, weapons, and items for their characters, helping their characters to be faster, stronger, or more powerful. Some gamers are so addicted that they experience serious physical and emotional withdrawal symptoms when forced to stop playing. Studies show that video game addiction is associated with depression, social phobia, and anxiety in children. For many children and adults who are struggling with video game addiction, the lack of a true purpose in life is key to why they simply cannot kick the gaming habit. The game they choose to play provides the sense of purpose, whether it's questing to find a magical item, seeking and destroying thugs, living in a digital world with an ideal digital partner, pursuing a dream career in a digital world, tending to a digital farm, or clearing a dungeon of evil and then returning for a reward. The The digital reward system allows the brain to feel good. Gamers completing quests and tasks feel excitement, a sense of achievement, or a feeling of accomplishment due to the biochemical changes in the brain that release neurotransmitters, controlling the release of hormones such as adrenaline, which speed up the heart rate and increase perspiration. These changes in the brain allow gamers to have the same sense of reward, same sense of real accolades they would feel if accomplished in real life. Gamers feel euphoric, and some describe the rush as being incredible when playing video games. For those who lack a sense of purpose in real life, video games give them a reason to live, a reason to have an identity, and a reason to have an ego, because the game provides a way for them to associate themselves with the avatar they've created in the game. Instead of spending time pursuing their dreams and achieving real meaning in their lives, which takes time and effort emotionally and physically, the video game addicts find it more pleasurable and inviting to be a part of the digital world and to fulfill the purpose that the game maker has for them. The gamers feel they are accomplishing something, even though the video game accomplishments are only digital. The desire to feed the ego is a basic human desire. Everyone needs an ego to have confidence, to maintain a positive self-image, and to be able to walk with head held high. Video games give players huge boosts to their egos because they are generals, kings, lords, beautiful, perfect, and can essentially play God. When devoting too much time in the virtual world, the digital ego becomes one with the gamer's real-life ego, and he loses connection with real-world relationships, performs poorly in real-world jobs, and eventually suffers from depression when not playing the video game. Video game addiction is a vicious downward spiral into deep depression, shame, denial, increased hunger for the game, and the inability to stop playing. Video games are a digital drug that fills egos and makes people feel good. Because of the vast digital buffet of video games to choose from and the ability to easily access these games whenever and wherever they want, people get hooked on them. If a gamer doesn't continue to play, they likely feel lost, forlorn, depressed, and overwhelmed. To an addicted gamer, solving problems means running away from real-life issues and challenges by plunging back into the game. College co-eds complain that all their male friends play video games. They gather in groups, play all night, and play excessively. I'm frustrated because guys are too busy playing games and not pursuing women. Have games become more fun than more ego boosting than dating attractive people? Are guys avoiding relationships with women by playing video games? Zimbardo presents the argument that video games and internet pornography are ruining an entire generation of males. People are destroying relationships in the real world because of their devotion to the digital world and isolation while they live in the digital world. They feel there's no other choice except to keep going back to the gaming world. It's a vicious cycle. Video game addicts cannot control their gaming. Dr. Doan devoted more than 1,400 hours over a period of 1 year in the World of Warcraft, just under 4 hours a day every day. Games like World of Warcraft are designed to be addictive because the business model depends on the acquisition of players, the retention of players, and generation of monthly subscription fees. It is estimated that World of Warcraft generates nearly $2 billion in annual revenue. Had to read it. Marriage counselors are seeing that excessive video game playing is an increasing problem observed in troubled marriages. Wives have wished that they were a keyboard and mouse because Computers receive the most attention from their husbands. They cannot compete with their husbands' needs for power and leadership. Excessive video game playing is hindering relationships and marriages, leaving little room for gamers to foster healthy relationships and sex lives with their real-life spouses and partners. Video games are increasingly cited as a reason for divorce. It is reported that in the United Kingdom, about 15% of the divorce filings citing unreasonable behavior are due to video game playing. Social media websites facilitate high quantity of social interactions, but less quality in the interactions. In contrast, real-life encounters require more time and emotional commitment, and people experience less quantity of real-life encounters than Facebook encounters. The face-to-face interaction is more valuable, as it is real and unfiltered. On the internet, people enjoy the ability to control what information and images represent them to others, along with the rewards of personal connections, with little risk and emotional investment. But because the quality of the online interaction is lower than real life, people must utilize social media in larger quantities and in greater frequency to feel accepted, to experience love, and to achieve happiness. Similar to the enticing world of the digital world of gamers, social media is an incredible lure for those seeking approval and love. Strickland et al. From Harvard published a Science about research dealing with the video game Tetris. The researchers discovered that people who played the game for 7 hours over a period of 3 days experienced hallucinatory replay of the activities as they fell asleep. This phenomenon is referred to as the Tetris effect. The game Tetris is a puzzle game where falling blocks of various shapes must be aligned to form a continuous line. As gamers become increasingly obsessed with the digital world, they invest the majority of their free time playing video games, their minds and senses of reality are continually being molded, skewed, and melded with the digital world. Even when they aren't playing, their minds may be preoccupied with the chosen game. As I was falling asleep during church one day, I heard loud footsteps on the roof. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, Diablo crashed through the ceiling and started to slaughter the congregation. It was the Tetris effect, only instead of images of falling shapes, I felt as if I was witnessing evil violence. Similar to what I had done 1,000 times in the video game Diablo, I dreamed of putting on armor, saving the people gathered to worship, and slaying the devil. Or should I make an alliance with the devil and assist him? And that's what Diablo looks like in the game. When I first started playing Descent, I noticed some interesting carryovers into the real world. Once in a supermarket on the edge of my field of vision, I noticed a bright metallic blue sphere floating in the air, actually a novelty helium balloon, and immediately thought, shield power up. I had begun to drift toward it before I realized that I wasn't at my computer. Playing until 4 or 5 in the morning, I slept for a few hours and then repeated the daily cycle. I dreaded hearing the birds chirping because it meant morning had arrived. I was angry with myself for playing all night again. Chronically tired, I often nodded off while driving and would swerve the car onto the shoulder of the road. Other times, I could not recall the last 5 or 10 minutes of the drive. One day, I crashed my car. On Sundays, I would sleep nearly all day, recharge, and then on Monday, restart my perpetual, never-ending hell all over again. I was a functional addict. My addiction to video games continued for over 9 years, with 40 to 50 hours devoted every week to them. Some weeks I played more than 50 hours, particularly during holidays and vacations. I was abusive toward my wife and kids, perpetually irritated and constantly angry. My mind was always preoccupied with video games. I withdrew from my friends and my colleagues, as well as my family. I preferred to be alone so I could sneak in additional hours of play. I was excited when my wife took daily naps with the kids because it meant more game time for me. I loved it when my wife went to bed early, which meant more hours to play before I heard the chirping birds in the morning. I was furious with my wife for asking me to take gaming breaks, to be away from the only thing that made me feel good and gave me an escape from life. I blamed her for being insecure, needy, and demanding of my time. I blamed everyone else for insecurities. With excessive play, I began manifesting physical symptoms. I stopped exercising and lifting weights. I had frequent headaches, chronic red and dry eyes, and stretch marks from my rapid 30-pound weight gain. I had urinary incontinence, problems, and hemorrhoids because of the extreme amount of time that I spent sitting, playing ladder matches and tournaments online, neglecting my body's needs, and not using the bathroom. I was constantly uploading junk into my mind, and my body was malfunctioning. I encouraged my wife and kids spend Christmas with my wife's parents, while I stayed behind during my only week off during my internal medicine internship. That week I logged over 250 games on StarCraft, amounting to over 100 hours. After that week, I played when the family was asleep or was busy doing other things, such as going to the park or movies or school functions. When a video game addict stops gaming, the brain loses a stimuli that releases the same rewarding highs associated with the dopamine rush. The brain also adapts to the high levels of dopamine by developing what is known as tolerance. The brain produces less dopamine and or reduces the number of dopamine receptors in the reward circuit, which decreases the enjoyment of the drugs and the addictive behavior, requiring the addict to increase the drug or behavior to have any good feelings. Otherwise, the video game addict can suffer from depression and physical withdrawal when they stop playing games. Data presented at the British Psychological Society conference in Dublin showed that video game addicts missed meals and went without sleep to spend more time playing. They suffered withdrawal symptoms and had difficulties cutting back. They were found to be more introverted, emotionally unstable, and had lower self-esteem than the average person. I was looking at screenshots of my new games and MMORPGs. The screenshots made me feel the urge to play these games. After looking at these images of the games and recalling gaming scenarios that excited me, I experienced the shakes for 12 hours. I took my temperature and I was normal. But my scalp hurt, my back tingled with pins and needles, and I had bouts of nausea. The next day I was depressed and had no energy. I was having withdrawal symptoms from only seeing these still images of the games. Addiction is characterized by inability to consistently abstain, impairment in behavioral control, craving, diminished recognition of significant problems with one's behaviors and interpersonal relationships, and dysfunctional emotional response. Like other chronic diseases, addiction often involves cycles of relapse and remission. Without treatment or engagement in recovery activities, addiction is progressive and can result in disability or premature death. Video game addiction is not yet an official medical diagnosis. Video game companies reject the notion that their products can cause a psychiatric illness, and this issue generates much debate. For millions of video game addicts, including Dr. Doan, video game addiction is real and has horrendous health and mental consequences. Video game addiction is digital heroin for the mind that makes the gamer feel good, but also helps them escape from reality. An article published by Scientific American showed that internet addiction, especially online gaming, rewires structures in the brain. It also goes on to explain that surface level brain matter shrinks the longer the gamer is an addict. The researcher explains that this shrinkage could lead to negative effects such as reduced inhibition of inappropriate behaviors and diminished goal orientation. Research reported in Pediatrics reports that the prevalence of pathological video gaming is similar around the world, with approximately 9% of youths demonstrating addictive behavior. Greater amounts of time playing video games lower social competence, and greater impulsivity seem to act as risk factors for becoming pathological gamers. Depression, anxiety, social phobias, and lower school performance are often outcomes of pathological gaming. Although most parents do not provide access to alcohol or drugs for their children, 9 in 10 American homes provide video games with unregulated time for play and lack of education on the proper use of technology. Many parents do not know the signs and symptoms of video game addiction, so they don't know to intervene. 2 teenage boys who played numerous hours in the game World of Warcraft planned and carried out a brutal murder of an innocent 19-year-old girl. They lured her to an empty house, sexually assaulted her, killed her, drug her into the woods, and set her on fire. They were caught when they bragged about it to other gamers. One said that it didn't feel like he thought it would, while the other dreamt of killing someone since I was a boy. Some kids have trouble knowing what's real or what's acceptable in a game may not be okay in real life. Gamers who become obsessed with or addicted to video games can meld their virtual gaming world with reality. Not every study shows exactly the same results, but when we look at studies overall, the preponderance of evidence suggests that people who play violent video games become more desensitized to violence, have more aggressive feelings, more aggressive thoughts, and are more willing to behave aggressively, especially when provoked. Exposure to aggressive video game content also reduces cooperative prosocial behaviors. In 2011, New Mexico resident Rebecca Christie played World of Warcraft obsessively, sometimes for 15 hours straight. Her house was a mess, with an overflowing cat litter box. Her 3-year-old daughter, Brandy, ate cat food because there was little food in the house. Sadly, Rebecca neglected her daughter while she played, resulting in her daughter's gradual starvation and death. Rebecca was sentenced to 25 years in prison, charged with neglect, but she was a guild master and excelled in the digital world of World of Warcraft. Even though her daughter starved to death. In 2005, Legends of Mer online game player Kui Ching Wei from Shanghai found out that his competitor, Zhu Kaiyuan, had stolen his virtual dragon saber. Kui went to the police and reported the theft, but the police did not respond to his entreaties. Kui took action himself and went to Zui's house and stabbed him repeatedly, killing him to defend a sword that only existed in the digital world. And that's what the sword looks like. That's the virtual dragon saber. In 2009, 17-year-old Daniel Petrick argued with his parents over playing Halo 3 on his Xbox. They took the game and console and hid it from the teenager. That night, he came into their bedroom and told them he had a surprise for them and would they close their eyes. Daniel then pulled out his father's 9mm automatic and shot each parent in the head, afterwards placing the weapon in the father's hand, simulating a murder-suicide. While his mother died, his father survived. Daniel fled the house with only his beloved Halo 3 game tucked into his shirt. In 2005, a 28-year-old Korean man collapsed after playing 50 hours of the game StarCraft. He had recently been fired from his job because he was missing work in order to play games. After his lengthy gaming binge, he was physically exhausted, had not eaten properly, and had not taken adequate breaks from the game. When his gaming session ended, he passed out and was taken to the hospital, where he later died. It was presumed that his death was caused by heart failure due to exhaustion. In 2005, a boy obsessed with the World of Warcraft killed himself by jumping out of a 24-story window. After reading letters and handwritten notes, his parents believed he thought he could meet his favorite Warcraft night elf hero if he reenacted a scene from the game. In 2011, a 20-year-old man died of a deep vein thrombosis after long periods of sitting playing Xbox. He would binge play for 12 hours or more. Deep vein thrombosis is a disease affecting the elderly with sedentary lifestyles. It is extremely rare among 20-year-olds. The man's father said that his son lived for his Xbox and that he normally played for hours on end. After playing for an extended period of time and complaining of chest pain, the young man collapsed with a pulmonary embolism and paramedics were unable to save him. At 20. The video addiction rate worldwide is between 8 and 18%. Medical effects of excessive video game playing include dry eyes because gamers resist blinking when playing video games, malnutrition from poor diet habits, bladder and bowel problems from resisting using the restroom, and poor personal hygiene. These are signs of video game addiction: unable to estimate time spent gaming, unable to control gaming for an extended period of time, sense of euphoria when playing, craving more game time, neglecting family and friends, restless, irritable, or discontented when not gaming, lying about the amount of time spent gaming, experiencing problems with school or job performance, feeling guilty, shame, anxiety, or depression while gaming, change in sleep patterns, carpal tunnel, eye strain, weight change, backache, etc. Denying, minimizing, and rationalizing the consequences, withdrawing from and neglecting real-life hobbies, obsession with acting out sexual fantasy on the internet, creation of an enhanced persona to find cyber love, eating meals at the computer while gaming. Increased time surfing game-related websites, constant conversation about the video game with uninterested friends or family, continued attempts to convince friends and family members to play, purchasing in-game items with real-life money, feeling the need to stand up for other gamers, continually bringing up life achievements to rationalize playing games for hours each day. A child is pathologically addicted to video games if they answer yes to 6 or more of these questions. Have you been spending an increasing amount of time playing video games, learning about video game playing, or planning the next opportunity to play? Do you need to spend more time and money on video games in order to feel the same amount of excitement as you do with other activities in your life? Have you tried to play video games for shorter durations of time without success? Do you become restless or irritable when you attempt to cut down or stop playing video games? Have you played video games as a way to escape problems or negative feelings? Have you lied to family or friends about how much you play video games? Have you ever stolen a video game from a store or a friend, or stolen money to buy a video game? Do you sometimes skip household chores in order to play more video games? Do you sometimes skip homework or work in order to play more video games? Have you ever done poorly on a school assignment, test, or work assignment because uh, you have spent so much time playing video games? Have you ever needed friends or family to give you extra money because you've spent too much of your own money on video games, software, or game internet fees? I think I've told you the story of my daughter was married to this guy, and he was a gamer. And he used to play with his brother. He and his brother would take on people, and which she didn't mind that much. But he wouldn't get a job. Finally, he just said, "Look, he had been in the Air Force, and so once he got out of the Air Force, he was going to go into robotics. Um, so he wouldn't get a job. She was taking care of both of them, and so he decided he would go to school. So she kept giving him ultimatums: get a job or go to school, get a job or go to school. So he decided he was going to go to school. And what he would do, he would pretend he was going to class. He would drive off, wait until she left, and then he would turn around and go home and play video games until it was time for her to come home from work. And then he would leave again and then come back. She caught him one day and she divorced him. Signs of withdrawal from video games: anger and verbal abuse, feeling of emptiness, depression and relief, disruption of sleep, fantasies and dreaming about gaming, the urge to go back to gaming and to attempt to control the time played, obsessing about the game for long periods of time, rampant uncontrolled mood swings, excessive crying, fear, irritability or restlessness, sadness, loneliness or boredom, inability to find new activities or interests, lack of motivation or direction, excessive amounts of time spent sleeping, difficulty facing obligations, feeling as though returning to gaming will solve problems, physical symptoms such as nausea, allergies, colds, hemorrhoids, dry eyes, urinary incontinence, and constipation, restlessness, unfulfilling, and taunting dreams. Cancel internet service. Remove don't be a video game enabler. This is what they want you to do. Cancel internet service. Remove the computer from the person's room. Give the person a higher purpose. Do not enable gamers in any way. Don't pay for the internet bill. Don't pay for monthly game subscriptions. Don't call in sick for them. Don't bring food to the computer while they are gaming. Don't clean their room or do their laundry. If depression or any other mental illness is present, seek professional medical help. Psychotherapy is useful for identifying the root causes from which the video game addict may be suffering. Identifying root causes facilitates addressing the issues that led to the addictive behavior. The video game addict must address the root causes leading to the behavioral addiction. Otherwise, relapse will occur. And here's an article by Cash and McDaniel, Video Games and Your Kids, How Parents Stay in Control. Rob has been gaming for 5 years. His social life is limited to occasional local area network parties with other gamers and their computers. They live chat while gaming online. They live chat, I'm sorry. Rob's grades steadily declined through high school until he dropped out as a senior. Despite his lack of work or education, Rob's mom is unwilling to ask him to leave home, fearing that he will come to harm if forced out. Rob has tried to cut back on gaming, but feeling of irritability and restlessness have brought him back. Returning to gaming gives him enormous pleasure. When Rob entered therapy, he readily admitted to gaming addictively. he admitted that he needed to begin socializing with young people in the real world. He was advised to taper back on his game playing, or even better, attempt to complete gaming abstinence. Rob came back for scheduled therapy and admitted that he had failed to limit himself to the agreed upon gaming hours. In the end, Rob left therapy because neither he nor his mother could face the safe cocoon that gaming had provided him. What is this book? Oops, that's it. Cash and McDaniel. Video games and your kids. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay, I'll show it to you at the end. Most video games use intermittent reinforcement that provide periodic rewards, but not in a predictable pattern. It is human nature to grow bored with things that are predictable. Another method of video game reward is that the players are anonymous. Humans enjoy the freedom of anonymity. Since many parents allow their children to have a computer in their bedrooms, children often select the computer as their first choice when they are bored, lonely, or anxious. They may be on their computers rather than doing homework or sleeping. 12-year-old Margaret loved to play the life simulation game The Sims. She was becoming cranky and uncooperative when her parents set limits on her video gaming. When bedtime arrived, she delayed and argued and convinced her parents that she was old enough to regulate herself, so the parents backed off. However, when they saw that Margaret was losing control and succumbing to an addictive process, they realized that an intervention was needed. The inattention of adults toward their children's activities allows children to get involved with online activities that parents might not like if they were aware of it. But many parents aren't interested in what their children are doing with games. The fact that their children are engrossed in something that keeps them quiet is so convenient for the parents that too little inquiry takes place about the content or the amount of time spent. Bill's parents' focus was on their constant conflict, not with their two children. The parents had never effectively set appropriate boundaries with their children, and Bill found online gaming a refuge from his family. Bill began gaming at 12. 2 years later, his parents tried to take his computer away, but Bill screamed, attacked him, and demolished his own room. His parents returned his computer to him. A year later, as Bill's grades tanked, his parents took the computer away again, and Bill tried unsuccessfully to stab his father. They again returned his computer. Way to go, parents. When children are allowed to avoid the difficult tasks of childhood and escape into video game playing without limits, they are vulnerable to getting hooked. Children with attention deficits tend to be more vulnerable. The stimulating effect of video games helps children with ADD and ADHD to focus just as medication would do. Bored children who have depended on external sources of stimulation to cope with their boredom and delight are delighted with external stimulation of video games. These children can quickly grow dependent on the games. Lonely children can easily forget about their loneliness in the absorbing pastime of video gaming. Many gamers feel that their best friends are in their cyber community. Children with low self-esteem brought on by any number of things, poor body image, etc., can easily find relief from their discomfort when they escape into a video game where they can pretend to be fabulously powerful, beautiful, strong, and smart. Children living in a home where there is abuse, neglect, or other painful dynamics want to escape their emotional misery. Games offer such an escape. Children on the autism spectrum find refuge in gaming and online chat, where social cues are less important. Children suffering from depression or anxiety may find the world of video games a place where they can escape their unhappiness and discomfort. It is possible for a child to discover sex sites and become addicted to them. The combination of a child's natural curiosity about sex, their sex drive, psychological factors that can drive addictive behavior, plus the accessibility and aggressive marketing of pornography on the internet, allow for pornography to become a regular part of many gamers' lives. They may begin using the newfound pornography for sexual release. Many gamers lack social skills, are not dating, and are afraid to date, so that they sublimate their sexual energy into their games. Gary was a serious gamer and had a severe addiction to pornography in the form of Japanese anime. He had been a video game and sex addict since age 15 when he discovered anime. He would watch anime on the school computers in the library and felt deep shame for not being able to control himself. Gary was able to curb both addictions with a 12-step program for sex addicts. Love addiction covers several addictive patterns having to do with romance, flirtation, fantasy, and obsession with relationships. Wife Brenda was deeply addicted to the game Second Life. In the game, she had already had one affair and was on her second. She never met her lovers, but engaged in mutual fantasy where they met, chatted, fell in love, set up house together, and had cyber sex, whatever that is. Brenda was profoundly obsessed with her fantasy life and even contemplated leaving her husband and 2 children for real life, which was Second Life, which was virtual. 17-year-old Josh was deeply addicted to World of Warcraft. He was having an online romance with a female gamer from the other side of the United States. He had never met her IRL in real life, but he was convinced of their love. In therapy, he was able to abstain from gaming, but since his strong addiction to his romantic fantasy, he found himself in excruciating withdrawal when he could not get access to his virtual girlfriend through the game. Stimulants, including highly caffeinated power drinks, are popular with gamers. Gamers report that drugs like marijuana can enhance the gaming experience. Bringing drugs to the mix brings a new double high from the game and from the drug. In the addictive cycle, we can predict that tolerance will develop over time, as will a need for greater stimulation from some source. When there are serious problems in a family, alcoholism, anger, hostility between parents, mental illness, physical, verbal, or sexual abuse, parents are even more likely to find reason and excuses to not set effective limits with a child's problematic game play. This is a type of codependence. Until at least one parent faces up to the seriousness of the dysfunction within the family and takes constructive action to address it, such as seeking professional help, the child's problem with video gaming will not be dealt with effectively. When parents are in a codependent relationship with their child, it is as if they are acting as co-conspirators in keeping the addictive habit alive. In other words, the parent receives a benefit or payoff from their child's behavior. Parents usually aren't doing this consciously, but denial is a powerful force. Parents need to shake themselves and take more effective action. There are 3 seemingly unrelated epidemics occurring in the United States that are frequently reported in the news separately. Wow. An epidemic of ADD among children, attention deficit disorder. An epidemic of childhood obesity and type 2 diabetes. Children spending a lot of time in front of electronic screens, computer, and television. And this guy's got them all. U.S. children have become the most overweight population of children in human history. Type 2 diabetes resulting from poor eating habits has had to be renamed. It was once called adult onset diabetes, but the name is no longer appropriate with so many children developing it. The brains of children who spend a lot of time playing video games are profoundly affected. As their brains become wired to be good at playing video games, it is believed that this wiring is starting to mimic ADD, or attention deficit disorder. Screen time is correlated with health problems stemming from obesity and lack of physical exercise. Obesity brings with it a whole host of problems: type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, poor cardiovascular development, stressed joints, weakened bones from lack of activity, and psychological problems such as low self-esteem, depression, and social anxiety. Television shows probably do not elicit as much dopamine activity in the brain and have an end. There are no endings to online games and online chatting. Ending a session online requires either self-discipline, which children usually lack, or parental intervention. The stickiness factor is used by the game industry to judge the success of their games. Ophthalmologists have long noted an increase in eye strain and vision problems as a result of increasing amounts of time spent in front of computer screens. Computers can strain your eyes depending on a number of factors: amount of time spent on the screen and the number of breaks taken and the distance from the screen. This has to do with the refresh rate that creates a flicker to the screen, as well as the angle of the screen and the fixedness staring at the screen, as is necessary if you are playing a video game. Some developmental optometrists believe that children spending too much time in front of screens and too little time in physical activity are not integrating their visual systems with body movement, which has a negative impact on perceptual, motor, and mental learning processes. Another problem is computer vision syndrome, which is a complex of problems that include eye strain, headaches, blurred distant and near vision, dry or red eyes, double vision, neck aches, back aches, and increased sensitivity to light. Poor posture developed in childhood while playing video games and from lack of exercise can lead to problems in adolescence and adulthood. Slipped discs and pinched nerves can make life miserable, and the probability of developing these problems increases with bad posture. Carpal tunnel syndrome and repetitive motion strain are showing up in gamers. Video gamers' thumb involves the tendons, nerves, and ligaments in the children's hands, wrists, thumbs, and forearms. Symptoms range from fatigue and loss of strength to aches and pains, burning and tingling. Sleep deprivation is a huge problem among heavy gamers. Teenagers need 9.5 hours of nightly sleep if they are to develop optimally. Video gamers often ignore their body's need to sleep and game beyond sleep. One college student became psychotic after gaming nonstop for 36 hours, a normal response to prolonged sleep deprivation, and had to be hospitalized. Coordination, balance, and depth perception are each a brain function that can be adversely affected by unlimited and untimely gaming. Children need to fully use their bodies to explore the physical world: running, tumbling, climbing, going in, coming out, pushing, sliding, and all the other things that normal children have done throughout human evolution. However, the mesmerizing effect of screens can put to sleep this natural inclination toward activity. Norway has mandatory military service after high school for all its citizens, including its female citizens. Recently, the military has sent many of its new recruits home because they were unfit for duty, between 15 to 35% of them. This is Denmark, okay? They were too psychologically immature and physically out of shape to handle the demands of military life, and this was attributed directly to excessive video game play. This is Norway, I'm sorry. Norway. Everybody gets to go into the military. Hiding behind a screen feels safe for children who are anxious. Allowing them to hide there, spending hours in front of the screen, is often the opposite of what such children need. Signs of anxiety include edginess, restlessness, difficulty concentrating, irritability, timidity, difficulty with sleep, and physical symptoms like muscle tension, headaches, and stomach complaints and diarrhea. Video game addicts may show signs of social anxiety when they interact in real life. Moderate gaming may benefit a child, though too much may be harmful. Depressed children seek escape from their feelings, and video gaming offers a very convenient and engrossing escape. However, video game addiction can produce depression. Research has revealed a strong correlation between depression and the amount of time spent online. For a child who is addicted, chasing a dopamine high in spite of negative consequences, school failure, social isolation, and sleep deprivation can easily lead to depression. Children with attention deficit disorder tend to be highly attracted to quick scan and react battle games, probably because their brains are already wired to handle them well. Because the games help them stay focused, they produce an effect similar to that of Ritalin. A concern is that children without ADD could end up with something akin to ADD simply by playing these video games to the exclusion of balanced development. They could have trouble maintaining normal focus and attention in the classroom and in other areas of their lives. Recent research using brain imaging technology demonstrates that far more of the brain is involved in the simple task of adding numbers than in playing a popular video game. During video game play, only a relatively small section of the brain is active, whereas almost the whole brain is involved in the adding task. Research shows that children shouldn't be introduced to computer technology until around age 7. If appropriate care isn't taken, the following problems are more likely to occur: shortened attention span, reduced critical thinking, reduced creativity and imagination, reduced ability to be internally motivated and self-directed, lowered frustration tolerance, cognitive desensitization, aggression, limited language development, visual deficits, depth perception, nearsightedness, computer vision syndrome. When a child spends a lot of time in front of a screen, visual images are being provided to the child, images that come from someone else's imagination. When a child plays a game, the rules were created by someone else's imagination. The child is not the author of their own imaginatively created games and is not generating their own fanciful images to accompany those games. Children heavily dependent on video gaming for their entertainment are showing deficits in their ability to set goals for themselves and follow through to achieve them. They appear to lack motivation, which may be related to a reduced ability to think creatively, analytically, and imaginatively. When children do not spend their time finding practical solutions to real-world problems, they may lack the skills and self-confidence that would make them resourceful. When children depend on immediate gratification for their motivation, they have trouble doing many normal things in the real world if these things are not immediately rewarded. Children of today who are heavily dependent on on-screen time are less able to delay gratification and properly handle frustration. In a longitudinal study, researchers found that the personality factor that most predicted success in adulthood was persistence. Persistence involves delaying gratification, while gaming involves experiencing the intervals of gratification that are just right to keep the player playing. An addict's first loyalty is to its beloved alcohol, drugs, sex, food, gambling, video gaming. Addiction puts an addict's conscience to sleep, which is why addicts behave in ways that they would never behave if not addicted. Their attachments to people become weaker than their attachments to the addiction, so they do not feel the expected remorse when they manipulate, lie, steal, assault, and cheat. Many gamers claim that the self-esteem they enjoy is directly the result of their gaming skills. Among themselves, status in the social hierarchy of the game is determined by skill level, as well as social behavior within their cyber communities. This is part of why they resist so strongly any parental attempt to limit access to their source of self-esteem. Experience with video game addicts shows that their self-esteem is extremely fragile. Children thrive in environments with established routines. Parents need to be willing to look closely at their own gaming habits and act as role models for their children. Guidelines: no screen time for children under 2. 1 to 2 hours of daily screen time for preschool-aged children. 2 hours for elementary age kids, 2 to 3 hours for middle and high school teens. Screen time is both TV and computer. No screens in bedrooms. No screens in bedrooms. The family meeting is an excellent parenting tool for families that have children 8 or older. These meetings need to be casual and relaxed. Never come to a family meeting in anger. Set limits on children's total screen time. Set family guidelines for gaming content. Be clear and consistent with children about media limits. Develop and follow up on consequences. Develop a list of other things to do that are fun. Schedule the next family meeting. Once a month is ideal. There must be consequences. Under 5, first and second misuse, timeout and parent-child talk. Third misuse, remove the game. 5 to 11, first misuse, timeout and parent-child talk. Second misuse, timeout and parent-child talk, and no gaming for the day. Third misuse, timeout and parent-child talk, and no gaming for the weekend. Fourth misuse, timeout and parent-child talk, and no gaming for a week. Fifth misuse, loss of gaming privileges for a month. There must be consequences. 13 to 18, first misuse, timeout and parent-child talk. Second misuse, timeout and parent-child talk, and no gaming for the day. Third misuse, timeout and parent-child talk, and no gaming for the weekend. Hold a family meeting exploring the future options of removing the computer, discontinuing the internet, install time-limited software, stopping all subscriptions on online gaming. Fourth misuse, timeout and parent-child talk, and no gaming for a week. Fifth misuse, loss of gaming privileges for an indefinite period of time. 59% of fourth grade girls and 73% of fourth grade boys say that the majority of their favorite video games are violent. Violent video games are more harmful for bullied children than violent TV and movies. Games are interactive, very engrossing, and require the player to identify with the aggressor. It may be empowering for a bullied child to shoot at the bad guys in a game, but it will not improve their personal problems. Disengaging from the cyber world and engaging in real life is hugely difficult and a tough transition. The brain of an addict of many years has been rewired. Many developmental windows have been closed, making it quite difficult for the adult to learn the real-world skills that would have been relatively easy to learn as a young person. Once addictive behaviors end, maturation restarts. But the gaming addict will always have a brain that functions like an ADD brain. And that is it. So let's go back to the screen. This is the book, Video Games and Your Kids, How Parents Stay in Control by Cash and McDaniel. There you go. Okay. I'll talk to you guys next week.